right. Here we are in Pisgah Forest, North Carolina, July 5th, 2008. It's my mom. Hi,
How
Mom.
you doing, Miriam?
All
Okay,
right.
good to have you here from
Hi,
Florida.
kids. Andrea, this is for you. We're doing this for you and Mark. And Aunt Judy's in the background. We'll get to Aunt Judy and Aunt Kathy tomorrow, later on today. But Mom, the kids want to
Do I have
know
to
a
shout the
little
way you
bit.
are?
No, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
I just project. This is my classroom voice, I guess. The kids want to know a little bit about um, your husband, my father, their grandpa Kay. Can you fill us in on a little bit of his family?
Well, unfortunately, I do have some things written as far as his father and his parents, etc., etc. But this was a surprise to me, and I would have to look this up. But one thing that was very interesting is that in 1974, Grandma Nisborski and your father and I, were you there? You went to Poland?
Yeah.
Yeah, and your mother
To
went to
Poland.
Poland, and we went to the house where it would be your great grandfather was born. That would be Czesław Krysiak. And it was a two-room house, um, typical of that area, of like almost like a cottage, and it had a thatch roof and a small door that when we went in, we had to, and I'm short, we had to put our head down, and we came into the room that what we would call the kitchen. And the other room was a multi-purpose. There was a bed, there was the what we would call a dining room table. It was all in one room. It was a two-room house.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember going into.
They had a farmyard outside, and they had outside the cottage were a little white picket fence, and hanging over the picket fence were ceramic pots that are used during the night for people who have to go to the bathroom.
Now this was their
Yeah,
grandfather.
Grandpa Krysiak. That's where he was born. That was
That's
that was
where.
Daddy's father.
Right. Okay. So my grandfather, their great grandfather, was born there. Okay.
In that
And
little house.
now, and we visited it. It was still, family was still there, but when did when did Grandpa Kay's family come to America? To the best of your recollection.
Oh, wait a minute. No, no, no. That's right. We were that. No, that was right. Well, that was the Krysiak side of the family. The only one living there, it was his sister,
Okay.
and with her husband, Grandpa. Great. What would be your grand? I'll refer to him as great grandpa because that would be great grandpa to Andrea.
Yes.
Right. So
Yes.
great grandpa Krysiak came over to this country with his brother, and his sister remained in Poland, and she was still living in that house. Um, what else did you ask me?
I asked
Oh, when they came, I don't
when
know. I
that
don't.
side of the family came
I have.
over.
I do not know when great grandpa Krysiak came to this country. It had to have been before the first war, because
So somewhere around 19,
I don't know.
turn of the century to 1915, somewhere in that area.
No, it would have to be after the first war. The reason
After the First War.
the
Okay.
reason why I say that is because um, your great grandma Marcella Nisborski came over on March 25th, which is the feast of the Immaculate Conception, right? The Immaculate Conception is that's when she the church observes her birthday, March 25th, and she came in 1914. And the reason why that sticks in my mind is because Marcella Nisborski, her sister, was supposed to come in the fall, but the first war broke out I believe that August 1914, and then no one could leave the country. And
So
then,
to the best of your knowledge,
So they
the
would have to have
Krysiak
been-
side of the family came about the same time,
or earlier.
but not that much earlier.
I don't know.
Well,
It can't be that much
well,
earlier,
because
the age is the
because
same.
Grandpa Krysiak came over, it wasn't like his parents came over.
No.
It was that generation. Okay.
They were actually teenagers or probably 20, 21 years old, but they were basically older teenagers. They were not older people, and they came without parents. It would be the Cheshire side of the family where the parents came. That would be
And
Yeah.
that would have been my grandmother. My grandmother.
Yeah, that would be Stella. That would be
which
Stella.
I don't remember her
No.
too much at all. So do you remember anything about that side of the family? Is there anything?
Well,
that you
they came
the
over.
Cheshfish?
Ciewisc, I think Cheshfish. There's several ways of spelling it, and I don't remember. She came over with her parents, because there was a picture of what would be your great grandparents, and so they came over but they were born there. They came over as young children. They came as a family, and
It's still all about the same time.
I would imagine it would have to be. Everything was done before the first war, because once the first war broke out, that was it. Unless they came after, but no, because they were married like in the 1917 or something like that, so they had already.
Okay, so by 1917,
earlier.
they have met and were married. What do you have any idea of what they did when they came over, as far as an occupation?
Now who are we talking about?
About Grandpa Krysiak.
Yeah, I don't know
and-
what he did.
They
Most of it was
do.
just. Well, that was later, Judy. But
Oh,
when
well, even later.
Even
Well,
Even
later he worked for he was a machine shop worker for Worthington Pump, and he walked.
So he has some kind of mechanical abilities then.
Yeah,
Very,
they
very
have to
smart mathematically.
Yeah.
That's Aunt Judy talking over there.
Yeah.
She'll
The
stay out of camera range, I guess, for the time being.
and he married Stella Cheshfish, and she was quite young, and I heard she was very, 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 very pretty. And I don't know how much education she had. Those days you weren't required to go to school like they do today. We're just talking about the Krysiak family, right?
Right now, just the Krysiak side of the family. She wants to know a little
And,
bit more about that. Okay, so he worked as a machinist.
Yeah, he used to make.
So
He used to come home with like little slivers of stuff on him,
Metal.
metal,
Yeah.
they would, because of the sweat, he would have his clothes be rusty, stuff like that.
and then
And what was
Okay.
interesting about that? Of course, this won't mean anything to you unless you go on Google, which you could do nowadays. They lived on 74 Ann Street in Newark, New Jersey, and the factory, Worthington Pump, was on the other side of the Passaic River in Harrison. You could go to even if that exists, and he walked always to the bridge, over the bridge, and to the factory to save 5 cents on bus fare. So that was 10 cents he saved a day by walking to work and walking home from work. And that was for 5 cents, which today people wouldn't even bend down to pick up.
Well, Well,
Well,
10 cents bought you a lot more than it does
Yeah.
today as well. Yes. Okay. So when Andrea and Mark's grandpa Kay was growing up, going to school, their dad worked as a machinist.
That's right.
Okay. And then Grandpa Kay went on to after graduating from high school, let's say. What you didn't meet their grandfather, my father, until
Yeah.
after high school.
After
right?
high school.
After
he
high school.
was 2 years ahead of me.
Okay, so a little bit, anything that you remember about his childhood, any stories that he told you, anything that sticks out in your mind that anecdotes?
When he was little and early elementary, they lived across the street from Wilson Area Grade School, right across the road above the Chinese Laundry. They lived there, and they would have after school activities. And the thing that you ought to know is that uh, there was the teacher set up a boxing match, and Daddy, well, your great grandpa,
Right,
he
okay.
was,
You know who we're talking about.
I don't know, 7, 8, I don't know, in that age range. And they had boxing gloves on, and the teacher said, in this corner is rowboat. And he turned to your father and said, in this corner you have steamboat. Well, your your grandfather won the match, and that's how your grandfather got the nickname Steamboat.
Well, see, I never knew that. I thought it
And-
always came from Army dues.
No,
but that
he had-
came from
he
elementary
had-
school.
And he had that name that no one even knew his name was John. It was when we were first married, and we'd walk down the street, and the guys would say, "Hey, Steamboat," and after a while they just called him Boat. I said, "Don't they know your name is John? Your name is John, not Steamboat." But they all had nicknames. One of his friends was called Snake Eyes, so Steamboat wasn't so bad.
It wasn't so
Yeah.
bad.
So that's how he got his name. His nickname
Who was Snake Eyes?
He turned out to be a mobster after a while. But what was interesting when Kathy, she could tell you this story, when she first worked for the chiropractor, the first chiropractor, he bought the business from one of Daddy's classmates. And when one of the clients came in, and he said, "Oh, he went to Eastside High School," and she said, "Well, my father did," and the name, he says his nickname was Steamboat, and he knew right away. If you said John Krysiak, they wouldn't know, but if you said Steamboat, they would know.
All right, so Grandpa Kay went to Eastside High School in Newark, New Jersey. And did you go to the same high school?
Yes, I did, but I
went-
didn't know him at that time.
Okay, and how many years apart were you in
I think
school?
about 2 years. Yeah.
2 years apart in school. So you didn't meet each other
No.
in high school. What year did you meet?
You have to ask me these questions.
I
Who
do. I have
remembers?
to
Let me
ask you.
see.
Okay. Do you remember?
What year did I graduate? I think I graduated in 49. 49. Yeah, 49. And I started, I graduated in June. That September I started Jersey City State Teachers College, and we were going on a field trip, and I had to go up Ferry Street, that's where all the stores are, and I don't know, buy a pair of socks or something, I don't remember. And your father was standing outside of the Rivoli movie theater, which today I understand is a bank in that area now. And as a matter of fact, it was only a few distance away from a movie that was shot there where they had a picture of this church. What's the name of that movie? They took pictures
War
of
of the
it.
World
World of the World.
with Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
5 Points.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We just
Yeah.
listened to that story on the way in.
The Wilson Avenue, the church, the name was called St. Stephen's, if I remember. And if you were coming down Ferry Street, coming from the Penn Station, Wilson Avenue would go to the right, and Ferry Street, East Ferry Street, would go to the left.
All right, so you were shopping, getting sauce, and then you went
And
to the movies?
no.
You
He
weren't
was
going to the
standing
movies.
outside, and he just said, a few words to me. How are you doing? Blah blah. Who remembers what? And he walked me home. And then I didn't see him again. And then in October, at St. Casimir's Church in the hall, they always had a whole week of bazaar. What we would call a carnival. But there would be games, and every night there was polka dancing and all. And he was there, and we danced.
So this was 1950?
No, it's still in 49.
Still
In
49.
the fall of 49. Then I don't remember too much after that. I wasn't interested. And then somewhere along the line, I got a job working as a stock girl in a dress shop on Broad Street in Newark called LJ's. Capital E-L and Jays. And he used to come, he was already in the Army. When he would come home, he would wait outside, for me. And sometimes I went home with him, sometimes I didn't.
So he was in the Army at that time? So he was home on leave? And you
In the
kept in
50s,
contract?
in the
and you-
50s, early 50s, because we
Right.
got married in 54.
Okay, so that was the Korean War,
Yeah.
right, or Korean
Conflict.
involvement. And so you kept correspondence with him
When he was
overseas?
overseas, yeah.
Okay. And where was he overseas?
Because he played baseball, that's what kept him from going from Japan into Korea. He played baseball for the Army, and he played with Willie Mays and a couple other guys, I forgot their names. And he was in Japan, and he played baseball there.
Okay, so that's...
And that kept him, and then
How
he didn't
did
have enough.
someone end up playing baseball in the Army? How did that come to be?
Because he was a good baseball player.
So
And
did he have
when
any
was in-
baseball experience
when
before he
he
went
was-
into the Army?
Yes.
Okay, what kind of experience did he have
Oh, I don't know, was it before the Army or after? No, it was after the Army.
after the Army? So
Well,
He was on the All-Star team.
He was for
All
the high
city.
school, for the high school, Eastside High School. He was all state. That's why I
Okay,
had
so
those
he
pic-
played all...
He won
All-State.
a all state player award, and not only him but his team, and they kept that title for about 51 years before that high school was able to make all state again. And because he loved baseball more, probably that was his favorite sport. And so when he went in the Army, I guess they were looking for people who could play, and they just picked
Now,
him.
did he enlist?
Nah,
He was drafted.
he was drafted.
Right.
He never would have enlisted. So that
Unlike your grandpa Hanson, who
yeah.
enlisted to get out of finishing school. Just a little aside note. There's a little difference there. Different wars too. Totally different wars. Okay, so he played baseball in Japan,
In Japan.
and you kept in correspondence with him. And then, how did you end up deciding to get married?
I guess I felt sorry for him.
You did not.
And
Were you seeing anybody else while he was gone?
well, I was seeing this one Italian fella, but Grandpa says, no Italians. You marry your own kind.
Your father.
Yeah, my father.
Yes.
And
I thought Daddy was very handsome.
and
Oh, they both were. I've seen their
he,
wedding
uh,
picture.
he he says, God, No more, no more. You marry your own kind. So that's the way it was. Now the only one, everyone married Polish in the family except for Caroline. But she was out of range, so my father couldn't get to her. So that's
And you were married in 1954.
yeah, because she was born in 55.
Okay. And so you can end it about here. That's well, I guess maybe you can just tell us about the first couple of years,
Well,
then
don't forget, going back to Daddy with the baseball,
Okay.
it was after he came out of the Army, he tried, it was for I forgot the name of the team, it had a name, but what they actually were was the Cardinal farm team.
the Cardinals.
The
You
Cardinals.
got red, right?
Yeah, the Cardinals farm team, and that was up in Rochester, or someplace up there, but
This is after you've been married. You
no,
were married
before.
right before you were married.
Yeah,
Okay.
before. And he came home. I don't know what the problem was. He said he missed me. So that was true. And that was it. And we were going out together. And there again, Grandpa says, no more than 6 months. If you don't know in 6 months when you're going to marry him, but you don't drag it on. Because in those days they were concerned about out of wedlock and all that kind of stuff, which was not our problem at all. And that was it. And my girlfriend Sophie Paskanka worked for Henry Ben's Jewelry, which is on the side street from City Hall, and she picked out my engagement ring. Usually girls go try and pick it out, and I said, no, whatever you give me, I accept. So and Sophie said, well, send him in to me, and I'll, I don't know what he
Steer
paid.
him in the right direction.
Yeah, I don't know what he paid for it or anything. So Sophie Paskanka picked out my, but her marriage name was Lodato. So
Right.
Lodato.
Now, we know that Grandpa loved baseball because he wanted to be a baseball player if he had his choice, and that is not the way it turned out.
And
what
maybe
jobs?
he wouldn't, because you have to remember, your father was not a tall, big man. He was not like today. Baseball players are 6 feet more. He was. Well, then Phil Rizzuto was a short guy.
Yeah. So he did have other jobs, other occupations. You both did. What kind of careers did Grandpa? Let's stick with him for a little bit because I know yours was.
Well, he didn't know what to do.
Okay. So what did he do?
So I encouraged. I encouraged him to go to teachers college.
Okay. Which you were already doing, or
I had
finished.
already. I was already graduate.
You graduated and you were employed.
I was, but in those days
Okay,
when
who were you employed with?
Newark,
Okay.
and in those days you had to report when you became pregnant, and at 4 months everyone had to leave. You could not stay like the people stay today. Last minute.
So you were employed to teach as a teacher,
Yeah, second grade.
second grade.
Was it
in
second or
Newark,
third? I don't remember.
and you did that for.
Well, I got the job. I got the job in September. Oh wait, no, I worked a year before that. I worked in New Brunswick.
Okay.
I worked for a whole year, and
Second grade as well.
no, I think it was the third because it was timetables. I think. No, I worked.
Now they
the
do
whole-
that in kindergarten.
Well, it was a third, whatever, and I had to travel by train to New Brunswick and then take a bus. And I started very, very high. I think my first year's salary was 3,600, which was
Woo!
very, very high. And they wanted to renew my contract, which they did, but then I got the contract for Newark, and
That
so
was closer to home.
that was closer to home, though I still had to take a bus to get to work. That was Hawkins Street School. I don't even know that's still there. So I had 1 year and then a few months.
So, were you the main sole supporter
No,
of the
because
time
Daddy
we were
got a
first?
job at Benjamin Moore.
Okay, so he
Yeah.
worked for Benjamin
He
Moore
made
when you
Benjamin
first
Moore
when you were
paint,
newlyweds,
yeah.
and as he was working for Benjamin Moore, he was also going to school.
Yeah, he went to school let me see, yeah, he went to school daytime and worked nighttime shift.
And paid his own bills too. Uh,
Well, he did get some GI.
I love
GI.
you guys. All right.
I got some GI. What are you talking? Pay your own bills.
I'm talking to the kids here for Andrea. Anyway, uh, words. What's the school? All right. Okay. So Benjamin Moore, but he was also getting GI money as well.
Well,
that
to pay
helps.
his tuition. Yeah, tuition. That was
Okay, so it was a
tuition
GI
money.
bill to pay his tuition. Okay.
But I remember, I don't know what it went to, but when I was going, it was like $50 because it was a state school, Jersey City State.
All right, and then after he did graduate, Teachers College, what? You okay?
What's-
We had a board call.
Well, you know what? That was bound to happen because it's the thing wasn't connected. Don't worry
All right,
about it.
He'll fix it. Okay, so he
Just don't want him to break his leg.
went to
That's why I like to keep something there.
Teachers College. He graduated. He got employed
In Linden.
in Linden, and that's where he
Linden,
taught
and that's
all of his career.
Linden's school number 4.
Basically, that's where he stayed his whole career for close to 30 years. No?
Maybe a little less because he got Army credit.
He didn't teach in another school?
That's when he changed early on.
Was number 4, and then there was another school he went to, and I don't remember.
And then he went back
But
to
that's
school
where
number 4?
where Andrea's cousin Bruce had him in school.
Right. So he most of his career was there. He did
Yeah.
move
Yeah.
to another school for a short time and then
No,
came
no, he
back.
stayed there. 'Cause
Oh, he did stay there. Okay.
Oh, then number 4 closed or something. He went someplace. I don't know. I don't remember. To tell you the truth.
Yeah. Did he have other jobs besides teaching in with
Well,
the elementary school? Right.
Yeah. Yeah. What he did to make ends meet, he would referee games and umpire. So he would do high school games. He would do what you call baseball, like where like factories would have teams. What do you call that?
Leagues.
Leagues. He
Leagues
would,
and leagues.
and
Right.
you know he would do like $6 a game. And of course that's $6. You get 5 times a week. You know, that was extra money.
Yeah.
Parks and Rec in the summer.
Oh yeah, yeah. He did that for a couple summers. And
Did he? So he did a lot of things with sports.
yeah, because he loved sports.
And did he do anything else? You mentioned Benjamin Moore paint. That was just
No,
his
that was
sales.
yeah,
that was just
that
sales.
was once he got
And then teaching, and then the refereeing and sports related. Was there anything else that he did? Anytime?
You mean as in the way of work?
Yeah, in the way of work.
No, it was always
For some reason, I thought he drove a taxi for a short period of time. I don't know where I got that information from.
No.
Yeah.
Making it up.
Never
Alright, I
heard
was
that one.
misinformed there. I don't know where I got that information.
No, it was always ball games, and then he did football. He umpired. No, yeah, referee football and you umpire baseball, right?
Sure. sounds
And he
good.
used to also do referee basketball, high school basketball. He did that
All,
too.
all year round.
All year round, whatever the sport was, he did it.
Track. He did track a little bit.
He tried wrestling, but
I do
yeah,
remember that.
yeah, but that
yes.
he didn't do too good on that because he couldn't get down because he at that time was a little heavy. And that was it.
Alright, well, I think that's
You want to talk
Fills
about
them
health
in.
issues? No.
oh, well, we can go briefly into that if you like.
Well, I'm just saying
Yeah.
what happened.
To put some closure to it. Yeah.
Uh, he fortunately he retired, what we would call early. He had a triple
With
by
55, right?
he had a triple bypass,
Okay.
and he was out of work for on medical for a year. But in those days, they used to cut your leg and take your veins and all. And your father always had bad legs anyway, and he was always his legs were killing him. He just couldn't do it. Well, he'd come sometimes with tears home and say, "My legs, my legs." So I said, "Quit, quit." So one day he was so bad, and the superintendent was there, and he says, "I'm resigning." It was like on the spur. Came home and told me I resigned. I said, "All right."
And that was after how many years?
Well,
It was a long time.
I don't know.
It's a long time.
I'd have to sit down. You ask me these questions and
I
spur
thought
the
it
moment.
was well. We can figure that out, easy enough because he started teaching when you got married, or a year after,
No, no, no.
2 years after.
I don't remember.
Okay, so
I don't
early
remember.
50s.
No.
No, they weren't married till 54.
He just started
Mid-
going to school.
Mid-50s.
Okay, mid 50s.
He just
Late
started.
50s.
He just started going to school. Because don't forget, I had finished, and he was just starting.
Okay.
And that's what it was.
When we moved out of Newark, how many years was he working in Linden? Because moving to Cranford was a reason why we moved to Cranford because of how many miles he had to drive
Yeah,
to
he didn't
work.
want to drive far.
Right. So we moved out of
We
Newark.
moved to Cranford.
In
We were there
six-
for Johnny's first birthday.
So that's 60.
He was born in '62, so we moved there in '63. Johnny was born in '62. Yeah.
It's about right. Yeah, I was 4. 5
What?
years
Well, I
old,
hate to
4.
say, when was Kennedy shot? 63 or 64?
60.
Yeah, but we had Johnny's first birthday at the Oak Lane house
September.
because remember the basement
September 63.
the basement
okay.
flooded,
63.
Okay.
and everybody was going down the basement to bail water and all. My father-in-law, who held the mortgage on the house, why is everybody going downstairs? And we had Johnny's birthday party. That was
Now, you just skipped over that fact that Grandpa Krysiak held the mortgage. I mean, today that's something that doesn't happen. So when you and Dad bought the house in Cranford,
yeah.
you didn't go to a bank.
No,
Yeah.
we went to the family, but of course,
But money was very different then.
it was $17,000.
And every week or
Every
every
month
month,
we
Dad
paid him.
would
We
drive
go to Newark and pay him more.
right,
Uh,
which is today just
But
unheard
that,
of.
but he got interest on that money. It
Oh,
wasn't
yeah,
interest
yeah.
free. It was interest. It was more interest than the Irishes charged Jenny. I don't remember what
That's
it was.
You're on
her
tape, Grandma.
Her Aunt Jenny. Yes.
But you didn't have points like they have today,
No.
and mortgage insurance and all that kind of stuff.
It's a simple interest loan, I'm sure.
And that was it.
So he retired. He took early retirement with health issues,
And
and
it was the best thing.
it was
to
the best
do.
thing I could have
He
happened.
belonged to the Roselle Golf Club. And
Well, he had
He
interesting
enjoyed-
vocal qualities. What happened to his voice over the years? That
I don't know.
when did that start?
I know when he was little. Now, it wasn't
What-
when I was met him. He used to stutter.
Oh, I didn't know
He
that.
stuttered. And they used to tell him, whistle, whistle. Why people stutter, I don't know. But he would stutter.
I don't
So he would
recall the
stutter.
stuttering so much as the
He's very
hoarse,
nasal.
hoarse quality in the voice. No,
Or-
that was always the case.
No, Don, he really
I don't know.
Raspy. His voice was raspy, but that's only how I but I don't recall his voice, especially as
Was there a
growing up as a
problem
kid.
with his
I don't
throat?
know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Not that I was. Not
That's
that
from
we
yelling,
knew.
"You're out!"
Well,
Well,
that's
yeah,
what I was
that's
wondering.
what I was
From
thinking.
from
A lot of straining of the
Mhm.
voice.
Yeah, that could have been.
Yeah.
Safe.
And he made strong bonds with other referees.
Yeah.
Ted Ziegert.
Mhm.
There was like a camaraderie between them, friendships with them. And Leo, I hate flies. Leo, what's the name of that Italian restaurant he used to go for raviolis?
Spiritos?
Spiritos, yeah, with Leo Spirito, that was another one of his referee friends, and Arnie Marks, and other guys, and his boss too. His boss, Mr. Jules Lieboff, was his principal later on, not right away. And they all refereed together. And that's it.
Okay. That was very good. And we'll continue with the Zborski side some other time.
Brevard Rescue doing its job. Is it? Oh, it's still on.
They weren't dumb people. They just didn't have education. Grandma, all she could do when she first came here, make an X.
Well, of course.
But I would sit there with a calculator. I would say, okay, 3,455 times. Blah, 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 blah. You could do it.
But Grandpa Krysiak was able to
Right.
do the numbers quickly.
And when you went into their basement on Ann Street, it was a dirt floor. Back then, I'm sure by now
I
it's
think I remember that.
dirt, and he
those
had like a
buildings.
caged area where he had his tools
And then the coal bins too.
yeah.
In the
But
back-
it
the
was a
front of the house with the
fascinating
coal bins
place
with the
because he
coal
had
bin.
all of his mechanical, very very precise mechanical tools, and everything was very very precise and oiled and put together.
No, I don't remember any of that, but
Oh, yeah.
when
Well.
we talk with Kathy tomorrow and things that you remember about
Backyard
that.
parties under the Great
Right.
Barber and all
That's
that kind of
cool.
stuff.
And playing pinochle every Sunday night.
Mhm.
Sunday with the guys. They get a
Who played pinochle?
Grandpa Krysiak,
Freddie Matascule and
Freddie, and a couple other
Spasbeck.
guys, and some other man would come. They'd have their beer, and underneath the Great Barber, they'd play and then they would play in the winter. They would play upstairs, and we were downstairs, and they banged the table. We'd hear it all the time. But they
But
were
why
big,
would you hear it?
when they were like playing cards, and they
Because
would
Mom and
bang.
Dad lived on the first floor, and her in-laws lived on the second.
Oh, so you lived on one floor and your in-laws lived above you.
Yeah, you were born there.
Well,
you don't
I-
remember?
No, I was 4 years
Oh,
old.
I
when
remember
moved
the
out
day
of
they
there.
brought her home from the
Who, her?
hospital. Oh yeah, she's screaming. Kathy and I looked at each other and like, what's she doing here?
Yeah, that was basically it.
But Mom and or Dad, whoever, brought home presents. I'll never forget. We got coloring books or something. She cried from the minute she walked in that door.
She hasn't stopped since.
See, I don't remember that.
Oh, I
don't remember
do.
any of that.
The
I don't
quiet
remember
is
living
over.
in
And I
New
didn't,
York
and
at
I
all.
didn't have, and
remember
I
going
didn't
to
have a,
visit
I didn't have a
New York.
dryer, and they didn't have disposables, and I had ropes in the kitchen. I have pictures of them where I would dry the diapers in the kitchen on ropes.
I ate, but I left you some.
I don't remember.
What did you
that at
have?
all.
And some pulled pork and a salad.
Oh, you had. What did he come here for? He came for adventure.
What kind of adventure?
Cowboy.
He was supposed to get married over in California.
No, Chicago.
This is your
Chicago, and
father.
she hopped.
Yeah.
He hopped the train like on the wedding day, and
No.
Hightailed
You
that
get
town.
two different stories, Kathy.
What?
Two different stories. He used to hop the rail.
Now, this is your father? Or
My father.
Yeah,
Your
but that's
father.
how he came to New Jersey was on the train. That's what I said. It's like a
Firecrackers,
bug
isn't it?
zapper.
the kid has a little.
So
I
Grandpa
do know that Grandma and
Dvorsky,
Grandpa met at an ice cream shop.
The
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But Grandpa Dvorsky
They
used to
were-
hop trains.
they with his
Rail
buddy,
cars.
and they wanted to go.
Yeah, like hobos.
They were like wanted to go west, and
Oh, what year was this?
I don't know. This is all before my mother.
Before they got married. So
Oh,
prior
so-
to
and what year were they married?
17,
17?
right?
Yeah,
1917.
1917.
So they probably just came right over here and then said, "We're going west."
But
Is
they
that-
didn't know
His
each
brother-
other.
his
They didn't
brother
know each
came
other.
West.
Who didn't
My
know each
mother
other?
and my father.
No, I'm
did
talking
not,
about your father and his buddy.
So Grandpa was Chicago and then he went to California?
Never went to California.
Then why are you saying go west? Oh, from
wanted to go
Newark
Chicago
to
is west of.
Well, and then somewhere along the line, they were so hungry, and a lady was walking from the store, and they stole her bread to eat. That's. My mother said, or my father was like when there was the hippies, you know. She said he would have been the worst hippie around, and he was engaged. I don't think it was a ring, to a girl in Chicago whose father owned a tavern. Now, in the old days, they would announce marriages from the church for 3 weekends in a row. There'll be a marriage of, say, Mary Jane and Anthony Lisborski. If there's anyone who knows any reason why they shouldn't be married, come forward.
Did that for 3 weeks.
They did that for 3
Oh.
weeks in a row.
You didn't get that 2 seconds in the church that they
No.
do now.
No. And
Wow, I've never heard that.
yeah, they did that. And I think after the second announcement, my father skipped down.
He said, I got cold feet and I'm getting the heck out of here.
And so then he wound up,
But he was still in New Jersey and she was in Chicago.
the girl,
Yeah.
this woman that he was engaged to marry. Yeah, he left. How he left, I don't know. Hitchhiked or whatever.
I thought he hopped the train.
And
To Chicago. That's where I get confused.
no,
Oh, back to
No.
Newark.
Oh,
From
he
Chicago.
was in Chicago and he was going
That's-
back east. I get it.
and
Okay.
My grandma in an ice cream shop.
how they originally met, I don't know.
That's what I asked Grandma. I said, how did you meet Grandpa? She goes, in an ice cream shop. Ice cream, they were having the ice cream. And, you know, like the soda jerk behind the counter. I don't think they had soda jerks back then.
Or whatever.
It was probably, what it probably was a drugstore that had a
Fountain.
counter, a fountain.
And she always says, I didn't marry for love, I married for security. Because they told me if I didn't marry him, that they were going to make her go back to Poland. You know, I get maybe
But he came over the same time that she did.
I don't know what year he came.
That's,
Oh, really?
that's in the
I
Ellis
always
Island
thought
records.
that they came
He's on the Ellis Island records. You
Yeah,
can check
yeah,
it.
he's on that
for
list.
what year then?
Well, you just look up his name and it gives you when he came and what ship he was on. I have it printed off at home. I don't remember it.
Well, they all pretty much came around the same time.
Val's
from what
first
I
wife
recall.
put a lot of, she pulled that down. And all that information now is quite available, you know.
On that Ancestries.com because Grandpa Krysiak's brother, or the Chester and everything, all that history is on the Ancestry. That's where I put your name. That's where you show up.
So Grandpa Krysiak had brothers. Did he have any sisters?
He died very young. What was she, 2 years old?
Who are you
An
talking
infant?
about?
Grandpa
Krysiak,
Andrea
Chester.
and Mark's Grandpa Krysiak, my father, your husband.
Daddy's father.
Daddy had 2 brothers and a sister who died.
And how old was?
She was not even a year old. She was like 11 months old or something. She died.
Is that baby Elizabeth spoon that I have? I have a
No.
little spoon that Grandpa
I
had.
don't
Do you
remember.
know what?
It's a baby feeding spoon.
From a flu. And then when Daddy was born, I remember Mr. Grandpa Krysiak saying that many times. If it's a girl, I'm gonna not go to work and I'm gonna celebrate. If it's a boy, so we went to work. They know. That's why when Judy was born, Grandma Krysiak, oh God, that was the first girl in the Krysiak family for a couple of families. No one had a girl, but everyone boys.
Yeah, but that what was that, Baldy?
Well, Boulding never got married.
No.
And the other one never got married. Well, he did later on in
So
life.
who's
but
Baldy?
Baldy?
His cousin.
Grandpa's brother's son. He had two sons, Felix and Frankie.
Okay, what grandpa? What are we talking about now? On the
Krysiak.
Krysiak side?
Bolesław. How do
Well,
you
bless
say?
with that. All that stuff is
Bolesław.
on
How do you spell it?
Ancestry.
What was
All that
Bolesław
information's
in
on
English? Don't ask me. No
Ancestry.com.
such a
Okay, but it's also on video.
Bolesław? I didn't put that down. His name. That was his Grandpa Krysiak's brother's name. They had two boys, Felix and Frankie. Frankie was born.
And they were over here as well, obviously.
Oh, they were born here. He's a graduate of Rutgers.
He lived in Newark. And what was that? His Aunt Mary, was it? That Mary? You named Mary after? That his Aunt
No, I
Mary?
didn't marry man. I just named Mary.
Well, who was Aunt
Those be
Mary to
Cynthia.
Daddy? Who was
You what?
she?
That's what I was
I
told.
Well, that
remember
would've been cool.
What?
Daddy always used to talk about going and see his Aunt Mary in Newark.
I don't remember that.
Oh, maybe he had a girlfriend.
There was an Aunt Mary, but that's from the Churchview side of the family.
So,
Oh, grandma's. Stella's.
No, he had one sister. Forgot her name, and she was a little strange. Forgot her name.
Yes,
She
we
had
did
one
got it.
boy named as Andrew. I don't even remember her married name.
She's like a ranger.
I'd have to look it up in old phone books that I have. Phone book addresses around here.
so Grandpa K, my father, had two brothers
Yeah. And his sister.
and a sister who
who
died.
died before he was born.
Before he was born.
Yeah.
Uncle Frankie died really young.
His
He
anniversary
was a
was
cop
the other
in
day.
Newark.
His anniversary is July 2nd.
Grandpa's and Krysiak and his Vorsky just had they just had an anniversary.
Who?
Grandpa Krysiak and your father's anniversary.
No, that's in August, Kathy.
I thought it was July.
No, August
Like
4th.
August 4th.
4th. It's August 2nd and August 4th, but it's not 2 days apart because it
One was
it was like right before midnight or right or something
After
like that. It was
midnight,
something like
yeah.
29 hours or something like that. You eating?
we had a double.
I'm not
Sierra.
even hungry. No point in eating.
It's like